There are some choices that divide you into before and after. Choices that split your life like an axe through wood, leaving two pieces that will never fit back together. Elsa made that choice on the coldest night in 200 years. The library sat at the edge of Fellheim, a Norwegian village so remote it appeared on only the oldest maps. For 23 years, Elsa had been its keeper, cataloging, preserving, protecting. The building held 4,000 volumes. Some were medieval manuscripts on vellum. Others were parish records, documenting births and deaths back to 1203. A few were simply old novels, read so many times their spines had gone soft. Elsa knew every book by touch. She could walk the aisles blindfolded and find any title you asked for, but she'd never imagined she'd have to choose which ones to burn. The cold came on a Tuesday in January. Not the usual Norwegian winter. This was different, vicious, the kind of cold that turns breath into ice crystals before they leave your mouth. By Wednesday, the power lines had snapped under the weight of frozen sleet. By Thursday, the village's backup generators had failed. And by Friday, people were dying. The mayor gathered everyone in the town hall, the only building with a working fireplace. 47 people huddled together. Children crying, elderly clutching blankets that did nothing against the brutal frost. They burned all the furniture, all the scrap wood, even the pews from the church. That's when someone looked at Elsa. "The library," a man said quietly. "All those books." Elsa's heart stopped. "No," she whispered. "Those are irreplaceable. Centuries of history. Our entire heritage." "My daughter is 7 years old," the man interrupted. His voice cracked. "She's so cold she can't stop shaking. I don't care about heritage right now. I care about her." The room fell silent. The mayor, old Henrik, who'd known Elsa since childhood, looked at her with eyes full of grief. "How long until rescue?" Elsa asked. "The roads are impassable. Radio's down. Helicopter can't fly in this wind. Best estimate? 5 days, maybe 7? Elsa did the math. 5 days, 47 people, freezing temperatures. They'd never survive without heat. She walked to the library alone, her boots crunching through snow that came up to her knees. Inside, the books waited in their perfect rows, silent, sacred, trusting her to protect them. She started with the duplicates. 3 copies of a farming manual from 1956, burn 2, keep 1. A box of water-damaged paperbacks from the 1980s, already molding. A set of encyclopedias from 1973, outdated, replaceable. She carried them to the town hall, fed them to the fire, watched centuries of accumulated knowledge curl into ash. The children stopped shaking. Color returned to blue lips. But it wasn't enough. The next night, she burned more. Novels from the 1920s, cookbooks, atlases. Each one she evaluated. Can this be found elsewhere? Is anyone alive who remembers it? Does it contain unique information? A few townspeople called her a hero, sacrificing the past to save the present. Others whispered, "Monster," when she passed. "She's destroying who we are. What's the point of surviving if we lose our history? What's the point of history?" someone else shot back, "if there's no one left to read it?" The debate raged, but the cold didn't care about philosophy. By the 6th day, only the rarest manuscripts remained. The medieval texts, the original parish records, the things that existed nowhere else on earth. And still, the cold pressed down. Elsa sat in the empty library, surrounded by the last 300 books. Her hands shook, not from cold, but from the weight of what she was about to do. That's when Marta arrived. She was 84, a retired schoolteacher who'd taught half the village to read. She moved slowly, wrapped in every blanket she owned, and sat beside Elsa without speaking. Finally, "There's something you should know about one of the books." Elsa looked up. The red leather journal, 3rd shelf near the window, the one with no title. Elsa knew it, anonymous, undated. She'd always assumed it was someone's personal diary, interesting but not particularly valuable. "My grandmother wrote that," Marta said softly. "During the last great winter, 1823, when half the village died." She paused, her breath misting in the frozen air. She documented everything, not just who died, but how they survived, which plants could be eaten when food ran out, how to insulate walls with moss, which caves stayed warmest. It's not history, Elsa. It's a survival manual, written by someone who lived through exactly what we're living through now. Elsa's mind reeled. She'd preserved medieval manuscripts, kept parish records intact, but she'd never actually read them for useful information. She'd been protecting them as artifacts, not as tools. She grabbed the journal, read by candlelight, and there, in elegant 19th century script, were instructions for surviving impossible cold. Within hours, they'd implemented Marta's grandmother's techniques: moss insulation, communal sleeping arrangements, a particular type of root that grew beneath the snow, edible and caloric. The books that remained, they burned them, all of them. Even the medieval manuscripts, even the irreplaceable parish records. Elsa fed them to the fire with steady hands, and she didn't look away, because she finally understood something that 23 years of preservation had never taught her. Books aren't sacred because they're old. They're sacred because they connect us, past to present, knowledge to survival, one human heart to another across centuries. And a connection no one's alive to feel is just paper and ink. The rescue came on the 9th day. Helicopters, snowplows, emergency supplies. The village had lost 6 people, mostly elderly who'd been sick before the cold arrived, but 41 survived. When the reporters came, they asked Elsa about the library. 4,000 books, reduced to ash. "Do you regret it?" one asked. Elsa thought of the 7-year-old girl, alive and laughing. She thought of Marta, who'd lost her grandmother's journal but gained a village that would pass its lessons on through memory. She thought of all those perfect, preserved manuscripts that meant everything, until they'd meant less than a single life. "I regret that I waited so long," she said finally. "I regret that I thought preservation was the same as purpose." The village rebuilt. A new library, smaller, filled with practical books and a single plaque that read, "Knowledge is only sacred when it serves the living." Elsa Thorsen, 2025. They never recovered the lost manuscripts. Scholars mourned them. Historians called it a tragedy. But here's what they didn't understand. Those books died doing exactly what all knowledge is meant to do. They kept people warm enough to see another sunrise. And on the shelf where the medieval manuscripts once stood, someone placed Marta's grandmother's journal. Not the original, which had burned, but a new one, where survivors wrote their own lessons. New knowledge, new wisdom, ready to save the next generation. Because civilization isn't what we preserve in silence. It's what we're willing to sacrifice out loud. And sometimes the most sacred act isn't protecting the past. It's choosing, with clear eyes and steady hands, to build a future.